Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be continuing on with Codominance by CurlyStar09. Today we are reading chapters 35 and 36. Chapter 35, Falling into Place. Bakugou and Sero arrived at the hospital in record time, both of them breathing heavily as they rushed through the doors, looking around for a familiar face before making their way to the reception desk. The nurse there looked up at them with wide eyes. "Can I help you?" "Ashido Mina," Sarah spoke first. "She was brought here. Is she okay? Where is she?" "Calm down, sir," the nurse told him with an understanding smile. "I will get that information for you right away."
"I'm looking for..."
Bakugou hesitated, unsure how Kirishima had signed in their daughter. Had he used Katsumi, or had he used another name to make sure she was off the record? He was about to think of something, anything to say, when he heard Kirishima behind him. "Katsuki!" Kirishima called out. Bakugou turned to look at him, unable to feel a bit calmer as he saw the smile on the redhead's face.
"Love, are you okay? Where's Katsumi?"
he said as he rushed over, arms holding onto Kirishima with a sense of urgency. "She's okay. She's perfect." Kirishima's eyes filled with tears of happiness as he said it. "She's sleeping. They have her on an IV.
"I want to see her,"
Bakugou whispered. "Let's go then," Kirishima told him. They went to Sero first, who had gotten information on Ashido. Sero would go see Ashido, and they would meet him there as soon as they saw Katsumi. Kirishima pulled Bakugou as they made their way to see Katsumi. Katsumi's room wasn't far from reception. One of Kirishima's sidekicks was standing guard in the front of the room. He moved aside as soon as he saw them. Bakugou froze when he stepped inside. The dimly lit room was just like any other hospital room he had been in before, but instead of a bed, there was a crib against the wall. Even from a distance, he could see ash blonde hair and a small hand. His eyes started to fill up with tears as he slowly made his way forward. Kirishima patiently followed his lead. With every step closer, he could see a bit more of his daughter. Her nose, her cheeks, and her chest rose and fell with each breath.
"She's ours,"
Bakugou whispered when he finally stood in front of the crib. Katsumi slept soundly inside. "Our baby girl," Kirishima told him with a nod before wrapping his arms around Bakugou's waist, pulling him close.
"When can we take her home?"
he asked breathlessly. "They want to keep her for the night," Kirishima explained. "She's strong, she's underweight, and we would need to make sure she will need to follow an eating regimen until she's a healthy weight. The doctor hasn't said much about it yet, though." Bakugou nodded, reaching out to brush Katsumi's hair away from her forehead. She was so small, and he couldn't wait till they were all home together. Akio and Katsumi between both of them. The picture was getting clearer by the second. Time passes. Sero ran to Ashido's room. It was on the 3rd floor of the hospital, and he even skipped steps to get there quicker. He was out of breath when he reached the door, rushing inside to see Ashido sitting up on the bed, smiling at him. "Hey, babe," she said, extending a hand towards him. "Mi amor," Sarah rushed forward, holding Ashido's hand and placing a kiss on her knuckles before kissing her cheek, and then her lips as carefully as possible. "Are you okay? Everything okay?" He cupped her face with his free hand, checking her over. "Yeah, just got knocked out," Ashido explained. "I woke up right before arriving. They did a full checkup." She leaned into Sero's touch. "Has the doctor said anything yet?" Ashido shook her head. "He said that my vitals were okay and he didn't think I had a concussion. They took an MRI and a CT scan just in case, too." Sero nodded along before leaning his forehead against hers. He cut himself off, not wanting to finish that thought. "I'm okay, Hanta," Ashido assured him. "I love you, Mina. Have I told you that yet?" Sarah whispered. Many times, but it is always nice to hear. Ashido grinned. I love you too. Ashido kissed him before pulling at Sero's arm for him to sit next to her. In no time, she was leaning against him, his arms around her. Is everyone else okay? Ashido asked after they were settled. Yeah, as far as I know, Sero told her. Kirishima and Bakugou said they will come to check on you once they see how Katsumi is doing. Kirishima already checked in on me earlier. Sero nodded, just pulling Ashido closer to him before burying his nose into her hair and placing a kiss on the top of her head. They stayed like that for a while, just being with each other. The door to the room opened and a doctor walked in with a clipboard as he read over the information. Ms. Ashido, he said, stopping short when he spotted Sero. This is my boyfriend, Ashido explained, holding onto his arms as if making it clear she wouldn't be letting him leave the room. After a quick exchange of greetings, the doctor started going over the results of the test. Well, everything seems to be in order. There was nothing on the CT or MRI out of the ordinary. We will be keeping you for the night, just to make sure that you don't have a concussion or anything else. You really should be careful, Miss Ashido, especially in your condition.
What?
You should consider limiting your work in the field for the time being. What do you mean by my condition? Ashido asked, looking at Sero to find him looking just as confused as she was. I'm sorry, the doctor said with a bit of surprise. I thought you were aware. Ms. Ashido, you're pregnant. What? Sero and Ashido said at the same time. A baby? Sero said, turning to look at Ashido, a smile spreading across his face. A baby? Mina, we're going to have a baby. You're going to... Oh my God, we're going to be parents, Ashido exclaimed, turning to hug Sero as tears started to spill. Sero hugged her tight, pulling away to place a hand over her stomach. I'm going to be a dad, he said, smiling before the reality of the situation set in. I'm going to be a dad. You're going to be an amazing dad, Ashido assured him as she kissed his cheek. You're going to be the best mom, Sero told her before kissing her. I'll give you 2 a second, the doctor told them with a smile as he walked out of the room. That was all Sero needed to kiss Ashido again and again. I love you so much, mi amor, mi vida entera, Sero told her between kisses. Marry me, please marry me. Sero, are you asking because you want to make an honest woman out of me? Ashido laughed at her own joke. He shook his head. No, I've been wanting to ask for a while. I've had a ring in my sock drawer for months now. So, what do you say? Ashido blinked. Ask me again. Ashido Mina, will you marry me? Yes, of course, I will. Ashido shrieked, wrapping her arms around Sero and pulling him in for a long, sweet kiss, the start of their future together. Time passes. Kirishima and Bakugou pulled away from Katsumi, making sure that there was someone watching over her room. They needed to check on Ashido and make sure everyone else was all right. Kirishima stood behind Bakugou as he waited for information, looking around to see if he could spot anyone they knew, and lucky enough to see Shinso and Kaminari walking in. Hey, he called out to them. As soon as they saw him, they made their way over. How's Mina? Kaminari asked as soon as he was close to them. We don't know. Sero's with her. We're about to head up to her room, Kirishima explained as he looked over at Bakugou, who was still trying to get information. Everyone else okay?
Yeah,
Shinso told him.
Everyone else is giving their statements right now. Fat Gum took over and he's telling HC everything right now with Endeavor.
Kirishima nodded. They would have a lot of reports to fill out in the morning.
3rd floor,
Bakugou told them as he walked up to them, grabbing Kirishima's hand as he did so.
Let's go see Pinky.
The 4 of them made their way up the stairs, getting to Ashido's room to hear muffled crying. That can't be good, Kaminari said nervously.
Is that Mina or Sero?
Kirishima asked, not knowing which one would be worse. Bakugou took the last couple steps to open the door, the other 3 rushing after him, holding their breath. From the door, they could see Ashido and Sero hugging on the bed. "Mina, are you alive?" Kaminari called out, the worry clear in his voice. Sero and Ashido turned to look at him with confused faces, but it didn't last long before they both started laughing. "Of course I'm alive, Denki," she told him, shaking her head with a laugh. Sero didn't respond, just leaning in to kiss his girlfriend's cheek, a smile on his face. "Everything okay?" Kirishima asked, looking between the two of them. Sero turned to look at Ashido, a question in his eyes. Ashido grinned, giving him a nod. Sero wasted no time, wrapping his arms around her waist and pulling her close before he spoke. "Mina is going to take some time off," he said with a bright smile.
"Wait, what the fuck? What happened? Shit, did you hit your head too hard?"
Bakugou started, running a hand through his hair. "No, nothing like that," Ashido assured him. "We have an announcement." "The doctor gave us some news," Sero continued, unable to stop smiling. "I'm pregnant," Ashido finally said. Sero kissed her right then and there, unable to stop himself any longer. The others stared for a couple of seconds, rushing forward with congratulations. They talked over each other, wanting to know how Ashido was feeling, and wanting to know how the doctor told them. Anything that crossed their mind as they went forward to congratulate them. "And just when you were planning to propose," Kaminari squealed as he wrapped an arm around Sero.
"Denki,"
Shinso groaned.
"Wasn't that supposed to be a secret?"
"Oh." Kaminari's face turned red as he tried to pull away from Sero.
"This is why no one tells you shit, dumbass,"
Bakugou told him. "It's okay," Sero said with a laugh. "Man, being a dad has really made Sero softer already," Kaminari whispered to his boyfriend. Ashido rolled her eyes. "He already proposed." Kirishima smiled as they all reacted to the news. Everything was falling into place. Everything was finally going how it should. Time passes. "Hey, Fat," Kirishima said as he answered his phone. It was early, almost 6 a.m. They were still at the hospital, not wanting to leave Katsumi until they knew if they would be able to take her home or not. He hadn't slept, but he had somehow gotten Bakugou to take a nap on one of the chairs in Katsumi's hospital room. That's why he had stepped outside to take the call. "Hey, Riot, did you get any sleep?" Fat Gum asked. "Not really," Kirishima admitted. "You should. I'm trying to get all the paperwork done as much as I can, but the Hero Commission wants to talk to you and Bakugou over everyone else," Fat Gum explained with a sigh. "Yeah, we kind of knew that was coming," Kirishima sighed. "I'll make sure you have till tomorrow," Fat Gum promised. "You two need some sleep and make sure your kids are safe." "Thanks, Fat," Kirishima said, glad he had such an amazing boss. "Don't worry about it, kid." He could hear the smile through the phone. "Go home, hug your kids, and come back tomorrow ready to roll." "I will. Thanks again," Kirishima told him as he hung up the phone. He let out another sigh, this time full of relief. He wasn't sure what was going on, but he knew that if there was a problem, they would be told right away. Kirishima made his way back into the room, smiling softly at the sight of Bakugou, snoring softly in the chair right next to the crib. He walked over, running his hands through Bakugou's hair softly before leaning down and kissing his forehead. Bakugou stirred slightly. "Sweetheart," Kirishima whispered.
"What?"
"Doctor should be coming back soon," Kirishima explained. Those words were enough for Bakugou to snap his eyes open.
"Any news on taking Katsumi home?"
"Not yet, but we should have word about that soon. And even if we don't, we have to pick up Akio," Kirishima reminded Bakugou.
"I know."
Bakugou rubbed his face with one hand. Kirishima went to sit next to Bakugou, the blonde leaning against him right away. He wasted no time wrapping his arm around him. They stayed like that for a moment before they heard the door open. Both of them turned to find a doctor standing at the doorway. "Hello, I'm Dr. Mako. I'm here to discuss Katsumi's condition," the young doctor said, smiling at them as she walked into the room. Bakugou and Kirishima stood up immediately.
"How's she doing?"
Bakugou asked, his eyes falling on the baby still sleeping soundly in the crib. "She's malnourished, as we told you before. Dr. Mako told them as she read over the chart. She will need to be put on a special diet. I'm actually here to discuss that with you. Even if she wants to eat a lot, you must make sure that she doesn't eat too much at once. It could result in other health problems if it isn't done carefully. So, we let her be hungry? Kirishima asked, eyebrows knitting together in worry. Bakugou reached out to grab his hand. No, of course not, Dr. Mako told them. The diet we are going to put her on is the exact calories a baby her age should have. What I mean by that is that we need to spread it out. Giving her everything at once could be dangerous since her body isn't used to being fed properly. It could cause some digestive problems, diabetes. It's a delicate process. She gave a sad smile. 3 meals a day, 2 snacks in between. She took some papers from her chart and offered them to both of them. Kirishima grabbed them, looking them over as Bakugou leaned over to see. These are some recipes and recommendations for food, but while they meet the nutritional requirements listed, she can pretty much eat anything, Dr. Mako explained. She went into more detail while Bakugou and Kirishima asked questions about the diet. It was doable. They could do this. Kirishima squeezed Bakugou's hand and he got a squeeze in return. A silent agreement. They were in this together. When will she be able to go home? Kirishima asked the question that had been weighing on them the most. Katsumi will be free to go home today as soon as the paperwork is done, Dr. Mako told them. Just have to set up some appointments for her. Keep an eye on her development in case anything needs to change.
Thank you,
Bakugou said, and Kirishima turned to find tears in his partner's eyes. After a few more words and details about getting Katsumi discharged, they were alone once more.
She's coming home,
Bakugou said just above a whisper. Kirishima wrapped his arms around him, pulling Bakugou close to his chest, unable to say anything without risking the tears that were threatening to spill out of him. Bakugou hugged him back tightly.
We have our family,
Bakugou added. I know. Kirishima choked out a laugh. I know.
I love you,
Bakugou said, pulling away. I love you too, Kirishima said as he wiped a tear away before leaning down to close the distance between their lips.
We're going to need another crib,
Bakugou mentioned. I'll talk to the daycare, Kirishima added. Soon enough, they were both adding items to their to-do list, only worried about their family. Everything else could wait. Chapter 36. Home. Katsumi was released from the hospital, and both her dads let out a full breath of relief. Before they left the hospital, they made sure to say goodbye to Sero and Ashido. Ashido had to stay a bit longer, just for a few more tests and such. Even then, Ashido and Sero were beyond happy. Katsumi was wide awake, staring with red eyes, not sure how to react to any of them, but no crying, which Kirishima took as a good sign. She was less talkative than Akio, but that was probably normal with how isolated she had been. Bakugou wouldn't let her go, holding her close to his chest the whole time. It made Kirishima smile, seeing just how much his partner loved their daughter already. They called Aizawa on their way home, a quick conversation asking him if he could drop off Akio. Aizawa agreed, and they could hear Eri in the background asking if she could come. A quick no from her father was all it took. They would love for Eri to meet Katsumi, but they were exhausted. They just wanted alone time with their children, and they were glad Aizawa was able to tell without them having to say a word. Bakugou held Kirishima's hand as they drove home. He knew they were thinking the same thing. How would Akio react to seeing his sister? Would they remember each other? Either way, they would never be separated again. They would flood deserts and drain oceans to keep that from happening.
2 kids,
Bakugou thought out loud. 2 kids.
Well, at least there's 2 of us,
Bakugou said with a small grin growing on his face. Nothing we can't handle, Kirishima agreed.
I'm fucking glad we have so many willing babysitters,
Bakugou half snorted. Kirishima grinned, unable to stop once he started. He turned to look at the back seat, Katsumi playing with one of the toys they had kept in the car for Akio. She looked a bit confused, but she was holding it, her eyes shining at the mysterious new object. They were going to make sure she was happy. They would make sure she had the best life possible. No matter what she wanted to be, they would make sure to make it happen. They pulled up to their place. Kirishima practically opened the door before the car came to a full stop, but Bakugou wasn't any better, parking and getting out of the car as quickly as possible. Kirishima unbuckled Katsumi from her seat and held her close. They walked to the front door in silence. Bakugou opened it, whispering,
"Welcome home, Katsumi."
Time passes. The first thing they did was give Katsumi a bath. She was scared of the water at first. She cried and held on to Bakugou as they tried to get her into the bathtub.
"Come on, sunshine,"
Bakugou whispered, trying to soothe her.
"Nothing bad's gonna happen."
Somehow they were able to get her cleaned up. Kirishima grabbed one of Akio's onesies for Katsumi to use now. They hadn't been able to buy anything for her, scared that it would give the fact that they knew about her away. So they put her in one of Akio's dinosaur onesies. It fit a bit baggy, but it would have to do, making it painfully obvious how underweight she was. Bakugou tried to push that thought away. Aizawa should be arriving any moment, and it was time for Katsumi's next meal. "I'll get her bottle ready," Kirishima told him, leaning down to kiss Bakugou's cheek. "You can wait for Aizawa outside." Bakugou nodded, turning to catch Kirishima's lips before he pulled away.
"Will do. After that, I think we all need a nap."
Kirishima smiled. "That sounds like the best idea ever." Bakugou stood outside for about 3 minutes when Aizawa pulled up. He could see Akio in the back seat, and as soon as Akio saw him, he heard the shriek of delight. Bakugou grinned as he walked up to Aizawa.
"Thanks for watching him,"
Bakugou told him as he opened the back seat door to get Akio.
"No problem,"
Aizawa said, heading to the trunk to get the diaper bag.
"He was a bit fussy, but it must be due to not being used to spending the night somewhere else."
Bakugou nodded, pulling Akio into his arms. Akio was babbling away. "Dada!"
"Good job getting your kid,"
Aizawa told Bakugou, handing him the diaper bag.
"Now comes the hard part." "The paperwork?"
Bakugou questioned.
"Raising them,"
Aizawa corrected with a chuckle. Bakugou let out a mix of worry and laughter and a hum.
"That's for sure."
He reached over and ruffled Akio's hair a bit, earning himself a couple of giggles.
"Let us know if you need anything, kid,"
Aizawa told him.
"Thanks, Sensei,"
Bakugou responded, knowing how lucky they were to still be in contact with him. After a couple more words, Aizawa drove away, Bakugou letting out a sigh.
"Ready to see your sister?"
He sounded nervous, but why wouldn't he be? Akio hadn't seen his sister in months, and even then he didn't know how well they got along, or if they had even been around each other before. All the documents they had read didn't mention interaction between them, but they had all been hyper-focused on testing and results, not much on the babies' daily lives. Akio was happy to be back, babbling away in excitement. Bakugou opened the front door only for Riot to rush at them. Akio let out a shriek of excitement. Bakugou couldn't help but smile at the connection those two had formed. "Sorry, sweetheart, I had to let him eat," Kirishima said from the living room.
"It's fine,"
Bakugou responded, telling Riot to sit or at least give them some space. Bakugou walked into the living room with Akio in his arms and Riot at his heels. He saw Kirishima sitting on the couch, Katsumi drinking her bottle with wide eyes focused on Kirishima. Kirishima looked up with a bright smile. "Hey, Akio." Akio seemed to notice his sister. Instead of pushing away from Bakugou, he tried to get to Kirishima.
"Gremlin, calm down,"
Bakugou told him, but he couldn't help but laugh. He went to sit next to Kirishima. Akio seemed to see Katsumi then, and he went quiet before letting out an excited yelp, trying to get her attention. Katsumi seemed shocked at first, not knowing how to react, letting go of her bottle in favor of hiding her face in Kirishima's chest. A small whimper escaped her. "She's nervous," Kirishima said with a sigh. "I get why, it's just—"
"Heartbreaking, I know,"
Bakugou said, leaning against Kirishima. Akio was still trying to get his sister's attention. "Give her time, little man," Kirishima told him, leaning down to kiss Akio's head. Bakugou lifted their son a bit to make it easier.
"We're home,"
Bakugou said out loud because he still couldn't believe it. "This is it," Kirishima told him, leaning into him a bit more. "You, me, with our kids." Bakugou grinned at that, turning to kiss Kirishima.
"That's the best thing I could have ever hoped for,"
Bakugou mumbled against Kirishima's lips. Time passes. The rest of their day was chaotic in the best way possible. Kirishima had been able to take a small nap just to wake up to Bakugou trying to get Owl out of the playpen.
"I need a nap,"
Bakugou told them while glaring at the cat. "Go take a nap, babe," Kirishima told them, wrapping his arms around Bakugou and kissing his cheeks. "I'll take care of things."
"Twins are getting along better,"
Bakugou announced.
"Katsumi is still a bit shy, but she's doing okay. Interacting more."
"That's good to hear." Bakugou turned in Kirishima's arms.
"I'm going to take that nap now. Wake me up if you need help, love."
"Will do," Kirishima told him before giving his partner a long, lingering kiss. Bakugou pulled away reluctantly, but Kirishima knew he needed the sleep. He turned towards the babies who were playing on the floor. Well, Akio was playing while Katsumi seemed lost, as she held on to one of the stuffed animals. "All right, Pebbles. Let Dad sleep while we get dinner ready," Kirishima told the twins, making sure to move Owl out of the playpen so that the twins could be in there while he cooked. He was glad they got the biggest playpen they could find. The twins fit in there rather comfortably. He moved it towards the kitchen so he could keep an eye on them. He started taking out the ingredients he needed to make some teriyaki chicken and rice. Something simple so that Bakugou didn't have to be the one to cook for the night. He started getting everything ready, eyes on the twins to make sure they were playing nicely. Akio chatted away to a cautious Katsumi. They needed to get her own clothes. Ashido might be willing to help them find some dresses. Kirishima liked the idea of Katsumi in some big fluffy dresses. Then again, they would have to see if she liked wearing them in the first place. Kirishima finished dinner, leaving the rice cooker on the warm setting and making sure the chicken was covered till Bakugou woke up. He took a twin in each arm, knowing that they both needed a diaper change.
"Where are you going?"
Kirishima turned around to find Bakugou stepping into the room, eyes still heavy from sleep. "You should have slept more, sweetheart," Kirishima told him.
"I'll be fine."
Bakugou shrugged, stepping forward to take Katsumi. "They need a diaper change," Kirishima explained.
"Both of them? Fuck, they really are twins,"
Bakugou mumbled. "Cats," Kirishima said, letting out a sigh.
"It was one,"
Bakugou told him, but they didn't waste any time to kiss Kirishima for good measure. Kirishima shook his head, but returned the kiss. "Dinner is ready."
"Diaper change for the gremlins, then dinner it is."
Bakugou grinned. With the two of them, the diaper changes didn't take long. It took a lot longer to get their food ready and make sure Akio and Katsumi had their own food. "I hope she likes the same baby food that Akio eats," Kirishima mumbled as he took 2 jars from the pantry.
"I just hope that she eats most of it,"
Bakugou responded. They only had 1 high chair, so that meant Akio got his chair and Katsumi would have to sit in Bakugou's lap for now. "Akio is mad," Kirishima pointed out, trying not to laugh at how their son was complaining about having to be the only one in a high chair.
"We will get her one tomorrow. It's just for today,"
Bakugou tried to explain, but Akio just threw his bottle off of his tray. "He gets that from you," Kirishima told Bakugou before going to pick Akio up.
"I'm a delight to be around,"
Bakugou huffed as he spoon-fed Katsumi some of her food. "Which is why I love you," Kirishima grinned, now much happier with Akio on his lap.
"Think we can get them to sleep after this? That way we can get some sleep ourselves?"
Bakugou questioned as he tried to measure how tired the twins were. "They better sleep. It's gonna be a long day tomorrow," Kirishima pointed out. "They have to go to the agency with us while we finish off this case."
"Have you heard anything about it?"
"Nothing. I haven't even looked at the TV or my phone for any news. I'm sure they have all of it under control. They need us only because we are the ones heading the mission," Kirishima reminded Bakugou. Bakugou let out a sigh.
"I know."
"Also, we need to get Katsumi all of her stuff tomorrow as well," Kirishima grinned. Bakugou let out a groan.
Not shopping again.
Yeah, shopping again, and this time we can't do it online. We need the stuff now.
Let's just buy everything we have again. Boom, done. Twins are easy.
Bakugou tried but earned himself an eye roll from his partner. They had time to figure it out, though. More than ever, they had the time to make sure their kids had everything they needed, to make sure they were safe and protected. Their family was together, and nothing would tear them apart if they had anything to say about it. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me for these 2 chapters. I hope you enjoyed them. We only have 2 videos left at this point. The next one will be chapters 37 and 38, and then the last one will be 39 and 40. I am really hoping that you have enjoyed this so far. I'm really curious to see what you thought about, everything happening at the hospital with Katsuki and with finding out that Mina was pregnant. Were you surprised, or did you kind of expect that was going to happen? Because they had been talking about it like way many chapters ago about like how Ashido said like having a baby that looked like Sero or something like that. I don't remember the exact wording of it, but like when they met Akio for the first time, she talked about her and Sero having a baby, but needing to get married first. So I really like that for the 2 of them. Like they're not like a ship that I seek out, but I do love the 2 of them together when I read Kiribaku stuff. All right, so we've rambled enough at the end of this one. I hope that you'll come back and join me for that next video. I'll see you next time.
The paperwork.
No, my God. He's not fucking Roz.
The paperwork.
Oh my God, I can't.
The paperwork.
Oh my God, why?